administration of U.S. President Donald Trump could soon unveil what it has described as the deal of the century. Despite the Palestinian government's rejection of the U.S. as a mediator, Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is apparently busy putting the finishing touches on America's initiative. Kushner, who's said to be the architect of the plan for the Israelis and the Palestinians, recently paid another visit to the region. He sat down for talks with the leaders of the Israeli regime and 4 Arab countries, namely Jordan, Qatar, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, but no meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The Palestinian government cut all communications with the White House in December last year, following the U.S.'s unilateral recognition of Jerusalem al-Quds as Israel's capital. Palestinians want the city as the capital of the future state. Abbas has said that America can no longer act as a mediator because its Jerusalem move was an unforgivable violation of Palestinians' rights. Palestinians now say the Trump administration is aggressively working to topple Abbas and impose a deal on them.
The United States administration of President Trump has actually moved from the squares of negotiations to the squares of dictations. They are determined to dictate a solution. They walked away from the negotiating table.
Many observers have warned that Kushner's initiative is a disaster waiting to happen. That is because the architect of the U.S. Middle East plan is close to the Israelis both politically and financially.
I think the Kushner peace plan is a disaster waiting to happen. Some reporters have described it as a fantasia, and that is what it is. It's based on fantasy. It's based on completely artificial assumptions about what the Palestinians will accept and how much power the Gulf states have over the Palestinians to force them to accept it.
Trump's son-in-law has not yet unveiled his plan, but Kushner taking Israel's side in any planned deal is a foregone conclusion. Like his father-in-law, Kushner was a staunch advocate of moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem al-Quds. That is why he and his emerging initiative are much despised by the Palestinians.
It's not even something that's going to be credible with the international community. Most of the world outside of Trump land understands that the U.S. has failed in this, the Israelis have failed in this. They're not going to blame the Palestinians for the failure because they're going to understand that the plan was distorted from the beginning and didn't take the Palestinian interests into account.
The U.S. administration seems to be fully aware that it has lost its status as a mediator. Observers say that is why the White House has turned to wealthy regional Arab states and has taken them on board in a bid to force the Palestinians to accept what is coming from Washington. Israel has intensified its atrocities against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. It has recently shot and killed scores of unarmed protesters near the so-called buffer zone, but the regime has not even received a slap on the wrist from the U.S. Palestinians argue the U.S. failure to condemn the killings further exposes the depth of its unwavering support for the regime. Such an ally, they say, is basically incapable of producing an impartial offer to the two sides. Meanwhile, the Palestinian government is finding itself increasingly isolated. The heavy U.S. and Israeli lobbying has had an impact. Arab states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates seem to have forgotten all about the Palestinian cause. The two are reported to be pressuring Abbas to accept America's plan. For the Palestinians, grappling with the Israeli occupation, it has always been an uphill battle. Certain regional Arab states are making the struggle even harder.